Come on, come on. Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. Tonight, we are continuing to read Animorphs number 8, The Alien, by K.A. Applegate. And with me tonight, I have my trusty cup of coffee, which I've been sipping at throughout the day because I have barely been waking up. And then I have to wake up early tomorrow, and which is why this video is coming out a little relatively early so I can get to sleep before 5, hopefully. Cross your fingers, hope for the best. Yay! So as to not waste more time, and to make sure you can go off and do what you were doing before, which was probably much more productive than listening to this. Let's continue. I'm double checking to make sure this is recording live because I'm always afraid of making a mistake. And we are live, so let's continue. A human has only 2 eyes. Both are on the front of the face. It is the same with most Earth species. These human eyes are very similar to our own main eyes. But humans seem fascinated by my stalk eyes. One of the humans, Marco, has said they creep him out big time. I believe this is a compliment. From the Earth Diary of Examly Isgorth Issel. There it is, Cassie said. School. Or, as I like to think of it, purgatory. The school is very active. There were large numbers of humans racing about at high speed. Others moved very slowly and seemed sad or ill. Many carried books. Most made mouth sounds. As usual, they were dressed in a shocking variety of clothing. Clothing is not a uniquely human idea, but of course Andalites do not indulge in it. However, when I am in human morph, I must wear clothing. All of my human friends, even Tobias, agree on this. They agree very strongly on this one point. I saw Rachel and Marco approaching through the crowd of humans. My other human friends tell me that Rachel is beautiful and Marco is cute. As an Andalite, I don't observe either trait. However, when I am in human morph, I begin to see that Rachel actually is very beautiful, but I never see that Marco is cute. At school, the Animorphs must pretend not to be very close. This is so any suspicious human controllers will not begin to think of them as a group. Hi, Marco. Rachel, Prince Jake said. Meet my cousin, Philip. Yes, I am Prince Jake's cousin, Philip. I said. I am from out of state. Marco made a smile with his mouth. You're from way, way out of state. Don't call me Prince, Prince Jake hissed. Nice to see you again, Philip, Rachel said and winked. Since she was really Jake's cousin, she would have already met Philip. See you guys later. Good luck. You'll need it, Marco added. We went inside the school building. It seemed to be nothing but a very long corridor. It was filled with humans. Along each side of the corridor, there were doors. Some of the doors were large, but there were hundreds of much smaller doors. I observed people opening the small doors, but no one ever went inside. Where do the small doors lead? I asked. Nowhere. Those are lockers, Cassie said. Everyone has a locker. See? There's my locker right there. We went to Cassie's locker. It was decorated with a shiny pendant. The pendant had a wheel with numbers on it. Cassie spun the wheel back and forth. Is that a ritual? I asked. Chul ritual? No, that's a lock. It keeps people out. Why? So they won't steal my stuff. She opened her locker and began putting things in and taking things out. What is that? I asked. The at that? It's just a picture, Cassie said. She quickly closed the door of her locker. It looked like a picture of print of Jake. I pointed out. Why would you have a picture of him when he is right here and you can see him? Cassie shrugged and looked down at the ground. Humans have many facial expressions. I believe this one indicated either sickness or embarrassment. Come on, Axe, Prince Jake said. He was smiling at Cassie and she was continuing to look sick or embarrassed. We'll see you later, Cassie. Time for first. Just then, a terrible, mind-shattering sound. I spun around. I raised my human arms, ready to use them for defense. I wished I had my tail. It's a terrible thing to be without a tail in a fight, but I was ready to do the best I could with my human body. Axe! I mean, Philip! Relax! Wrong! That noise! I cried. What kind of beast is it? Axe, it's just the bell for first period, Jake said. Take it easy. People are staring. It's not a threat? No, it's not a threat. It's depressing, but not dangerous. I followed Prince Jake as he led the way down the hall. It was difficult to forget the horrible noise. When humans are threatened, their bodies are flooded with a chemical that makes them hyper alert, fearful, and aggressive. The chemical is called adrenaline. My system was now flooded with adrenaline. It was very distracting. We entered one of the large doors. Inside were approximately 30 humans arranged in small, confining seats. At the front of the room was a large table. An older human stood there. Everyone get to your seats, the older human said. Prince Jake said, Mr. Perdue, this is my cousin from out of town. His name's Philip. He's just hanging with me today, okay? Just sit, be quiet, and sit. I could tell from Prince Jake's facial expression that he was troubled. He took my arm and led me to the back of the room. Take that desk, Prince Jake said. Take it where? What air? Where? I mean, sit in it. I understood sitting. I was getting pretty good at passing for human. Once, for 2 days, I had to morph Prince Jake and pretend to be him. I was successful in fooling his parents and brother, although I later learned that his parents believed he had become mentally ill. When the real Prince Jake returned, they took him to see a doctor. Sitting in this desk is unpleasant, I said. You got that right, dude. A human I didn't know said. What is going on back there? Quiet down, the teacher demanded loudly. What is. What? Suddenly, he clutched at his head with both hands. Everyone be quiet! Quiet! Now Prince Jake looked very troubled. Mr. Perdue, are you okay? All the other humans stared at the teacher too. Everyone was very quiet. Okay? Mr. Perdue demanded in a loud, angry voice. Am I okay? Am I... Without warning, Mr. Perdue pitched forward. He fell on the floor. He clawed at his head with his hands. And he cried, Yerk! Get out of me! He clawed at his head till blood began to flow. The teacher cried as he clawed at his head. One of the humans began screaming, What's happening? What's happening? Someone else ran from the room into the hallway and began to shout, Help! 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 Prince Jake and I sat very still, side by side in the back of the room. Stop damaging our body! Mr. Perdue cried. Then, as if he were answering himself, he said in a slurred voice, Get out of my head! Get out of my head! You're finished! Prince Jake's gaze met my own. We both knew what was happening. That makes two, Prince Jake whispered. Two that we've seen. Something is going wrong for them. Mr. Perdue began crying. He began cursing. All the while he writhed on the floor, and the other humans stood around horrified, helpless. Did you know this teacher was a controller? I asked Prince Jake, making my voice very quiet. No, he always seemed like a nice guy. I can't just sit here and watch this. Get out of me! Mr. Perdue screamed suddenly. The yerk in the teacher's head was weakening. It was starving from lack of Kandrona rays. The human host, the real Mr. Perdue, was fighting for control. Suddenly, Prince Jake stood up and rushed to the teacher's side. I was right behind him. I tried to grab his arm to stop him, but he was too quick. Prince Jake! I snapped, but he ignored me. Prince Jake knelt by the teacher's bleeding head. I know what this is, he whispered. I know what this is, Mr. Perdue. Write it out. The Yerk will die. You'll be free. Others were coming, close enough to overhear. Stay back, I said to them. There may be danger. I didn't know what else to say. It seemed to work. The others stayed back. Mr. Perdue rolled his eyes up to focus clearly on Prince Jake's face. Prince Jake grabbed the teacher's shoulder in a tight grip. "I've been there," he whispered. "I've done it, Mr. Pardue. I was a controller for a while. I survived. Just hang in." I searched the faces of the other humans, trying to see if they had overheard. Jake was my prince, but this was dangerous, foolish behavior. Suddenly, the door of the room opened. I recognized the human who rushed into the room. Chapman. He is the assistant principal for the school. He is also a high-ranking controller. "All right, kids, everyone out," Chapman snapped. "Everyone out to the playground, out of the building. Mr. Pardue is just sick." "You!" Mr. Pardue cried. "No, Chapman! He's—" "I said out," Chapman roared. The humans fled the room, anxious to be away from the scene of madness. But Prince Jake did not move. He stayed by the human called Pardue. I saw his fists clenching. There was a dangerous light in his eyes. Chapman looked at me, then back at Prince Jake. "Jake, you and your friend get out." For a frozen moment of time, no one moved. I held my breath. Would Prince Jake start a fight? If so, I would have to join him. But this was a foolish fight. Prince Jake could not afford to reveal himself. I grabbed Prince Jake's arm and yanked him up to his feet. He glared furiously at me. "We have to go," I said. Slowly he nodded. "Yeah, hope he gets better." He looked at Chapman. "He will get better, won't he, Mr. Chapman?" "Who can say?" The controller answered coldly. I drew Prince Jake away. He stopped at the door, and we looked back to see Chapman draw his short steel cylinder from his pocket. He pressed it against the neck of the weeping teacher. "No!" Mr. Pardue cried. "No!" Then, very quickly, Mr. Pardue fell silent. Prince Jake turned away and ran. He pushed his way through the others, who were still clustered just outside the classroom. He ran clear outside. He gasped at the air, as if he did not have sufficient oxygen. I caught up to him, but it was difficult. He has more practice running on two legs. "Prince, I mean, Jake, are you sick?" He shook his head. "Pardue was a controller. The Yerks were starving. And why? Because we destroyed the Kandrona. Me and you and the others. We did this." "It was necessary," I said. "We struck a powerful blow against the Yerks by destroying the Kandrona." "Chapman killed him, didn't he?" Prince Jake said. "The little steel cylinder. Didn't you see that? Not just the Yerk, but the real Pardue. He killed them both." There was no point in lying anymore. Prince Jake had seen the truth, and the idea of lying now, here, made me feel unwell inside. If the Yerk inside the teacher had died, the teacher would have survived and been free. I said. He would have told other humans what happened. He would have warned them. The Yerks can't allow witnesses. They're going to kill every host whose Yerk dies, aren't they? Prince Jake asked bitterly. Every human controller whose Yerk dies is going to be eliminated. That's true, isn't it? Yes, Prince Jake's face showed no. Prince Jake's face showed an expression. I believed it was an expression of sickness. We did this, Prince Jake said. It's war, I said. My brother, Prince Jake said. Tom, he's a controller. What about him? I had no answer. The Yerks would save as many as they could. But if their emergency system was breaking down, they would do what had to be done. They would eliminate any evidence. Prince Jake was staring at me. You knew they would do this. I glared back at him. Maybe it was the human adrenaline in my system, but I was becoming angry now. Angry at the accusing look in Prince Jake's eyes. Yes, I knew. How did you know? I hesitated. Prince Jake did not like my hesitation. He suddenly wheeled around and pushed me against the wall. How did you know the Yerks would do this? Because it's happened before. You think this is the first planet the Yerks have infiltrated? Do you think Earth is the only place where we Andalites have fought them? They don't leave witnesses. Prince Jake let me go, but he looked at me with unmistakable suspicion. I don't like you keeping secrets from me, Axe. I'm your friend. We're your friends. We should know whatever you know. You didn't tell me about this. Terrible things happen at war. In war, I said. You did what you had to do. Destroying the Kandrona was part of that war. You can say it's a war, Prince Jake said, but I hate it. Love the warrior, hate the war. What roar? What is that? An old Andalite saying? Prince Jake asked sarcastically. Yes, my brother used to say it. Prince Jake looked at me for a very long time. It made me uncomfortable. You know something, X? Sometimes I get the feeling we humans are just pawns in this big game between you Andalites and the Yerks. We're just ammunition in this war, aren't we? Too dumb to know what's going on, too primitive to be real warriors. That is not the way it is, I said. My own anger was diminishing. Prince Jake's suspicion was not. You fight alongside us, Axe. As far as I'm concerned, you're one of us. But then I find out you're keeping secrets. Rachel and Marco keep asking me, what do we know about Axe? What has he ever told us about his own planet while we show him everything? I told them we could trust you. Now I really wonder. There's no trust when you keep secrets. You should have told me this is what the Earths would do. You know I have a brother who. You know about Tom. I had a right to know what could happen. Maybe you would not have destroyed the Kandrona if you had known it could endanger Tom, I pointed out. Prince Jake stuck his face very close to mine. That's what you think? You know what, Axe? You're right to try and learn more about humans because you don't know a thing about us. Not a thing. And that's the end of that lovely chapter of bonding. I mean, we've all had, the first day of school, not, the very first day of school, but, say the first day of the first day of semester of a semester. I should really write scripts for these witty lines because then I would actually seem intelligent and awesome. But anyways, let's try that again. You sometimes have disastrous first days of a semester. I mean, I I remember an ex I had in college. Like I thought he was going to be going somewhere else and I could like totally ignore him for the rest of my life. And he was like a year or two ahead of me. And like my final semester, he was there in the same class. And it was like, there's like, oh god, this is gonna be fucking awkward. It's like I remember he walked through the door and I turned around to look at him. I swear neither of us moved for a good like minute or two as our brains like tried to wrap around. And so, sometimes you have really bad sort of first days like that. But Axe's first and last day of school was way more horrific than that. It was like, well, that confrontation with Jake, I tell you, that was, they have, instead of doing a normal day of school, it's, hey, this teacher was actually a controller and the Yerk's dying and, Chapman kills both the Yerk and the human, and Jake ends up finding out that Axe has been lying to them. I mean that's really hectic. Really, really hectic. More hectic than ever any first day I've ever had, which is just a really good thing that I haven't had that sort of hecticness. And one more thing I'm going to touch on about this chapter is that before I said I liked how Axe was done because he was intelligent enough that the whole fish out of water thing didn't really bother you. This time it sort of tested the limits. It's like, really, you have no concept of a lock? Like, is it supposed to be every room in Andalite society is free for everyone to walk through? Really? Really? Or it could be that he's familiar with different forms of locks. It's just he might not consider anything a human has to be make worth defending. It's like you might see, Cassie and like, oh, she's a great person, but why would she have anything anyone else would want? So I guess you could say that. It's like, is it a ritual? Okay. Okay, I have actually one more thing. Like the just this one line was just awesome in this chapter, and I would say possibly the best line in the chapter. And I don't know if you can hear them or not, but my parakeets are arguing. I should have fed and watered them before. Well, change their food and water. Sorry, in my mind I just call it watering. So yeah, should have done that beforehand. I thought my husband was up and about, and he's just was just laying down and take a nap. So they're a little pissy. And the thing is, I know the order I should do things, and I get yelled out if I don't follow their schedule exactly, and I totally understand where they're coming from. So yeah, I'm going to be bitched out by them once I finish this podcast. Ah. But anyways, the line I was talking about, the line. Okay, hang on, not this one. This line right here. It's not a threat. It's depressing, but not dangerous. It's depressing, but not dangerous. I think that could be a good motto for for I don't know, my life. I could definitely use that line in a few times a day usually. And the question I will leave you with today is, do you think Jake had an appropriate reaction to finding out that Axe had been lying to him? Why not? Let's start a nice friendly discussion. And also comment below about anything else you noticed about this chapter. But remember, no major spoilers. I am hoping against hope that people get into the Animorphs series via these videos. So there are some big twists and turns coming up that you should not be warned about. But if you do want to talk spoilers with me, and even if you haven't read the series, but you're like, okay, Jash, spoil things for me. If you want me to spoil things for you, no matter what, if you want to talk about spoilers, whatever. If you're on the YouTubes, link in the description to my Tumblr Ask Box where you can ask me anything about Animorphs. I am more than happy to talk about Animorphs all day and all night, baby. And if you just stumbled into the Animorphs fandom, welcome new Phantomorph. Sadly, there are no cookies. However, we do have cinnamon buns, aka humanity's greatest invention. And if you would like to buy your very own copy of Animorphs number 8 The Alien by K.A. Applegate, if you're on the YouTube's link in the description, if you're on my blog, link down below, and both links will take you to where you can buy your very own copy of Animorphs number 8 The Alien by K.A. Applegate. I can understand if you don't want to buy via the links for various reasons, but if you do buy via those links, you can do 3 things. 1. Get your very own copy of Animorphs number 8 The Alien by K.A. Applegate. Help support K.A. Applegate and also help support me and everything I do for my blog. My blog. Woo. So, think about that. You love me, don't you? I'm just so adorable. I'm more adorable as you can't actually see me, so you can just, yeah, you can imagine someone adorable with this lovely voice of mine. But anyways, if you're on the YouTubes, like this video you've if this chapter made you flash back to a bad first day of school you had. Also, you can comment down below with any horrible first day of school stories. And if you're an adult that has graduated from college, or you're just an adult with a job, comment below with any horrible first days at a new job. No. Also, remember to subscribe. I will be reading the entire Animorphs series, so, don't want to miss a thing. And if you're watching this on my blog and watching on the desktop version of my blog, please choose the follow by email option so you never again miss out on one of my blog posts. I just don't do these dramatic readings. I also do mini reviews, full-length reviews, fan fictions, a bunch of other stuff. It is awesome. So you don't want to miss a thing. And the next video of my Animorphs number 8, the Alien dramatic reading, will be on Friday. So hang in there for you who have a work week because Friday is more Animorphs. Yay! And until next video,